Today, I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone by making something for MeMadeMay out of fabric from my stash to satisfy the Sew Your Stash challenge that I'm participating in this year. Today, I'm going to be updating this Lacy Bolero that I made about 7 years ago with a fabric that is much less itchy. I'm also not going to add these pleated cuffs because as cute and adorable as they are equally impractical. This is also a little bit too snug right now, so I want to make my new Lacy Bolero a little more comfortable. I'm going to be using this stretchy spiderweb mesh that you might recognize from an earlier upcycling project. This should be pretty easy, so let's get sewing. The first thing I do when working with scrap fabric is to drape it on my dress form to see how much fabric I have to work with. And there's not a lot because this is a pretty small strip of fabric. I think utilizing this hole from that bag project I made previously for the back of the neckline would be the best use for this fabric. And if I cut the sleeves out of the bottom of my fabric first, I'll know how much room I have for the back and the front. So I think I'm going to cut out the sleeves first and then figure out what to do with the back and the front after. I'm giving myself a nice wide seam allowance to work with, and I'm cutting my sleeves out separately to make better use of my fabric. And now that I have the sleeves cut out, I can even up the neckline for the back. And I'm overlaying my previous Bolero to get a shape for the back. This is the part where I pin stuff to my dress form and start looking at my fabric scraps to see what I can use to make the front. And I'm super happy because this piece works perfectly as an all-in-one front and back. If I pin it right here, I have a full arm side that is the perfect length for this sleeve. But before I attach the sleeves, I do need to finish the bottom raw edge of the back. But I'm not going to worry about finishing the front part here because it's the selvage edge of my fabric, and the little spider print even goes into that selvage edge a little bit, so I think it looks cute. Mesh and lace look the best with serged edges, so I'm going to be using my serger for this project. I am finishing both the bottom and neckline of the back. Now I can add the back to the sleeve. As long as I line the center up, I'll be good. And I like to make sure both sides are pinned evenly and to the same side before I start sewing. I basted the sleeves on with a zigzag stitch before finishing the edges with my serger. I also serged the raw cuff edge of the sleeve. And now there's only one more seam left to make. I just have to fold these sleeves in half and sew a seam right along that edge. I also sewed the sleeve seams with a zigzag stitch before serging the raw edges. And I'm finishing all the serged corners with a little bit of fray check. So just for reference, I have the original Bolero on. It is fun and very, very itchy and a little bit too tight, but I do love the look of it. And it's just really fun to do this with. But let's go see the new one I made. This is so much more comfortable and I'm gonna get a lot more use out of this. This is just the perfect extra layer for short sleeve dresses in the summer and I can't wait to wear it. And now that I have a matching piece of clothing to go with this bag I made, I totally have to wear them together. When I first bought this spiderweb fabric, I knew I wanted to make this type of little Bolero jacket out of it, but it just took me way too long to do it, and I'm glad I finally got it done today. It's definitely not as much fun to play with like the older version with the pleated cuffs, but it's a lot more practical, and I think I'm gonna get a lot more use out of it. But on a scale of like 1 to Morticia Adams, I definitely like the older version better. This sleeve is also the perfect length because I like my sleeves a little long, but not too long so that they'll be easy to roll up when I go wash my hands. There's a lot more room in the arms, but there's also more room in the back, so I can just move around a lot more freely and easily. Making an updated version of my favorite old Bolero was definitely a good way to celebrate MeMadeMay this year. If you guys made anything that you loved for MeMadeMay this year, I'd love to know what you made, so let me know down in the comments below. And please leave a like on this video if you haven't already. And if you guys enjoyed watching this video on updating an old project I made in the past, then make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one that comes out. Thank you everyone who watched this video today. I will see you guys next week.